I previously reported that I thought Donald Trump and his regime were cooking the books regarding last month's job numbers that were just reported. Trump claims 147,000 jobs were created. What a beautiful number. 147,000 right before July 4th. Well, when you dig deeper, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because the Trump regime claims that all of these jobs are being created from government jobs and public education boom. So as the Trump regime is cutting public education and attacking the government, all of these jobs are apparently being found in government sector and public education jobs. So why'd they have to go with that? And how is state regime media known as Fox covering for the Trump regime as the Trump regime tries to cook the books? Because the prior day, Fox had to report on the ADP payroll statistics. The private payroll numbers showed that 33,000 jobs were actually lost in the past month, not gained, lost. They were expecting on state regime media Fox 100,000 jobs to have been created on ADP's private payroll statistics, but jobs were lost. So if 33,000 jobs were lost on the private payroll, according to ADP, how is there basically a 200,000 job swing that all of a sudden happens the very next day as Trump's disastrous bill gets passed and as Trump wants to push this propaganda at that horrific speech at the Iowa State Fairgrounds? So then, in my view, Fox was in on it. It's my opinion. You can judge for yourself. I'm going to show you the facts and I'm going to show you the receipts, because you don't just have a 200,000 job swing and then say the government sector jobs, not manufacturing, is where all of this came from. I call BS. I don't want you to think I'm a conspiracy theorist, so feel free to disagree. I'm just going to lay out my case for you, shall we? So on Wednesday, Fox reported on the ADP private payroll data for June. They were expecting 95,000 to 100,000 jobs. Only 33,000 jobs were created. Watch state regime propagandist Maria Bartiromo kind of lose it as she has to read those numbers. Play this clip.
Of course, President Trump is talking about this bill leading to growth in the economy. We are waiting any moment now to get the jobs numbers for the month of May. The expectations call for the ADP numbers to be up 95,000 for the month of June, rather. It's the June jobs data. And we'll, of course, right now seeing the number actually show a decline in jobs, down 33,000 on ADP. The bill includes $25 billion for the Golden Dome, the missile defense system. Senator, you introduced a bill supporting the construction of that system.
So then throughout the day, they now have to talk about the fact that it looks like we are in recessionary territory. But as I view the Trump stock market, I view it like a Ponzi scheme. Right now, I view the overall United States market as another Trump fraud, as a Trump Ponzi scheme where they just cover up the latest cover up and then cover up that cover up. So here, though, they have to bring on a guest. They're like, oh, crap, what do we do? We're supposed to talk about these job numbers that were supposed to be good. So they bring on a guest. A guest starts talking about the stats. Watch Maria Bartiromo, Fox propagandist. She tries to distract from it. She tries to bring on like their newest boogeyman, Zoran Mondami. Like, Mondami will take over your stores. Mondami's going to take over your department store. This, that. What are you even talking about? But just watch them talk about the data that was revealed on Wednesday. Here, play this clip.
Trump would like to sign this right before the July 4th holiday to celebrate freedom and independence. John, we are 30 minutes away from the opening bell for a Wednesday in a holiday shortened week. Your thoughts?
Well, our big surprise today had to be that ADP report on private sector employment. That was down by 33,000 jobs. The labor market is softening. It's flattening out. And that tells me that companies can go ahead and increase prices in response to higher tariffs. But I don't think that consumers are going to respond positively. They'll pull back on spending. So any increase increase by inflation because of tariffs will be quite limited. Ultimately, tariffs may do more to increase federal revenues, reduce the federal deficit than to add to price inflation. And of course, all this adds up to lower than expected interest rates by the end of this year.
Yeah, great point. Markets have turned negative now 30 minutes before the open on the heels of that weaker than expected June ADP report. That's why President Trump keeps talking about growth, Ashley. John, you just mentioned, people will have to raise prices. Not in Mamdani's New York, Ashley. No. Not if the government is running the grocery stores.
You see, but then on Thursday, Donald Trump then said 147,000 new jobs have been added in the last month. He goes, the jobs report shattered expectations with 147,000 new jobs added in June. So the question is, do you trust the Trump regime's data where they fired all of these civil servants and they replaced it with Trump loyalists, all of those culty people who you see in the speeches, who I show you all of their clips? Or do you trust ADP's private payroll data? They have no skin in the game, ADP. They're just publishing what the computer tells them the payrolls are. Gains or losses. They say there's a loss of 33,000. You look at that number, 147. We know Donald Trump makes up numbers. He's a criminal. Right? He's a felon. He's a sexual abuser. He was found civilly liable for fraud as well, right? He was found civilly liable for cooking the books, for making up fraudulent valuations. I just think he's doing the same thing here, because where is that 147,000 coming from? You heard the Fox reports, 100,000 teachers and government jobs. But isn't the whole thing we've heard is that the Trump regime is getting rid of teachers? I know in my state, I'm sure in your state, teachers are struggling across the country right now. States aren't overwhelmingly hiring teachers in the month of June in summer when school is out of session. That's where the job, that makes literally zero sense. So when you add newly created government jobs, according to the Trump regime, with these teacher jobs, that's how you get 147,000, and you make up the delta, the difference between the 30,000 job losses, because actually 177 minus the 33,000 gets you whatever that 147 number. It makes no sense. So then state regime media the entire day, they're now talking about this data, the new data that they say. The Chirons now read 147 jobs added in June. The stock market gets juiced. The stock market goes up big time. The Dow's basically where it was before Donald Trump's liquidation day, which he called Liberation Day. The S&P's up even more than then, and NASDAQ's up. But we're playing with phony. Isn't it so obvious to you that these numbers are not phony? And again, this is where I don't want to veer into conspiratorial land. So I apologize if you... But how is that possible that a 200,000 swing happened overnight? So then you bring on your labor secretary, Lori Chavez DeRemer. She's lied about everything in her life as well. And she said she was for unions and the PRO Act, and then she's against the PRO Act. And so she's one of the people behind this data. And so she says the president will take charge on these Fed rates and see exactly what we need to be. And now they're running with the story that jobs exceeded expectations, and they're printing the 147,000 number. Just so you know as well, before I play you this clip, so Trump gets the real data before it gets published. He gets to see it. And in the past, we would have civil servants who just publish the truth or publish their data based on their models. Now the Trump regime, I think just Donald Trump tells them 147 is a beautiful number. Watch what Lori Chavez DeRemer says. Play this clip.
The irony is that because this jobs report is stronger than was expected, the chances of the Fed cutting rates this month has basically disappeared. We'll think about September, maybe not September. So you're keeping rates higher for longer, unfortunately, because of this strong jobs report.
Well, certainly the economists, 66 out of 67 got it wrong. Americans are not buying what the media is telling them. They are seeing what's on the ground. They're seeing those investments. They believe in each other. They believe in their communities. And we're going to continue to lean in for that. And the president will take the charge on these Fed rates and see exactly where we need to be.
And again, I think this next clip shows you again why I believe my thesis is accurate. Manufacturing jobs are down in June. They can't fudge manufacturing jobs. Why can't they fudge it? Because it's collected in the ADP private payroll, because it's private sector. So they can't lie about the manufacturing data because they don't control that data. They control the government data, the part that was, in my view, manipulated, because they're the government and they're making up fake numbers, in my opinion. The way Trump would say, oh, Mar-a-Lago, 3 billion, 4 billion, 27 million, depending on whatever the hell he wanted the outcome to be. Watch as Lori Chavez-DeRemer, though, she looks guilty when she's talking about this. Like when I used to cross-examine witnesses, you could tell a guilty-looking witness. And so the question was, well, how do you deal with the fact that manufacturing is down, but what the Trump regime promised they were going to increase government jobs? Like it's literally the opposite of what they said they were going to do. They said manufacturing boomed, get rid of government bureaucracy. But here, play this clip.
Reported that factories are having trouble filling 400,000 open jobs right now. This morning's report also shows manufacturing jobs were down another 7,000. Why do you think that is, and how do you solve it?
Well, that's been the focus of President Trump through the executive order. 1 million active apprentices across this country. I have been on the ground over the last 2 weeks talking to many of the American employers, many American workers on what's important to them. It's just that quarter turn, as I've mentioned, in upskilling and reskilling to make sure that we can focus on that. It's going to take some time. There's no doubt in my mind, but we're hearing on the ground the positivity, the certainty that this is all working for the American worker. I couldn't be more proud to be on the ground and talking to these businesses. We're seeing the change, the sea change, and we'll lean into this executive order and get those apprentices ready to go for the president so those manufacturing jobs do continue to move forward in a positive light.
So you see what I'm saying? I can show you other examples in the past 24 hours as well of the Fox propaganda spin versus the reality. So here you have a guest that goes on Fox and, they're talking about, look, I think Trump's going to do the right thing with Putin. He'll stand up to Putin. Trump will be strong. Let's be very clear. Putin's the bad guy. So they go on Fox. They say these things, but what's really happening behind the scenes? So first play this clip of Mike Rounds. Let's play it.
Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick wants a briefing from the administration on the decision to pause defense shipments to Ukraine. And we've just heard, Senator, that Donald Trump will be speaking to Vladimir Putin in about 10 minutes from now, reportedly planning to speak to Zelensky of Ukraine as well tomorrow. What's your position on this? Should we be sending more weapons to Ukraine?
Ukraine is our ally. Russia is an adversary. We have supported Ukraine. Congress is behind Ukraine. We've also asked to find out what the rest of the story is. We think the president will share that with us. We're looking forward to finding out what his plan is. I believe that he will support Ukraine. He doesn't want to do to Ukraine what Biden did to Afghanistan. So I think he understands who the good guys are in this particular thing. And he just doesn't want to see the war go on any longer than it absolutely has to. I agree with him. Let's get to the peace agreements.
Yeah.
But Ukraine is our ally.
Okay, well, Donald Trump spoke with Putin on Thursday. Putin told Trump, go pound sand. Putin said that he was not going to back down from his invasion of Ukraine, that the, quote, special operation, end quote, would continue in earnest, and that Russia wanted to have a genocide of Ukraine. That's what Russia was going to do. RT, Russian television, they're mocking Donald Trump. They're saying that Trump immediately said he loves the idea of promoting traditional values, bringing Russia and the U.S. together by working on movies together, by working on movies and cultural exchanges of values. Huh? That's what they talked about? And here's the clip of Donald Trump when he was asked about his call with Putin. He's like, I didn't really get far in my call with Putin. Here, watch for yourself what Trump says. Here, play this clip.
President call with Vladimir Putin today accomplished.
We had a call. It was a pretty long call. We talked about a lot of things, including Iran. And we also talked about, as you know, the war with Ukraine. And I'm not happy about that.
Mr. President, on a deal with Ukraine?
feel like you made any comments? No, I didn't make any progress today.
Now, one more clip I want to show you how Fox covers for Donald Trump over and over again. They bring on MAGA Mike Johnson. They have MAGA Mike Johnson look at a post that former President Biden wrote. And MAGA Mike Johnson's like, oh, he definitely did. Which staffer wrote that for him? He's cognitively addled. He can't do anything. Watch what MAGA Mike says.
He called it reckless and cruel. It closes rural hospitals and cuts food assistance for our veterans and seniors. It jacks up energy bills, and it could trigger deep cuts to Medicaid, or Medicare rather, while driving up the deficit by $4 trillion. All of this to give a massive tax breaks to billionaires. Working people deserve better, the former president said. Your response, Mr. Speaker?
Those talking points are older and tireder than Joe Biden himself. None of us believe he actually wrote that. Some staffer did, but they're using talking points distributed by the DNC, the Democratic Party, and they're blatantly false. We can demonstrate that this bill is going to be better for everyone. What we did in Medicaid is strengthen the program, strengthen that safety net so that it is available for the people that need it most. And that's the disabled, the elderly, young pregnant women, for example. We're going to make young, able-bodied men who are able to work. We put work requirements in. That is going to eliminate a lot of the abuse in the program, and it's going to preserve those things for the people that really actually need it. Work requirements, by the way, Raymond, is about an 87% issue in public opinion polling because everybody understands that's common sense.
And that's all projection and confession because Donald Trump can't speak in sentences. Look, former President Biden's old. He's in his 80s. He's older. We don't need to be ageist. I used to think that age was a benefit. Does Biden speak slower? Yes. Does Biden stutter? Yes. But when you have a transcript of Biden speeches or Biden getting interviewed, they are very coherent, detailed thought packed with really insightful specifics. Donald Trump can't put sentences together. Okay. Here was Donald Trump at that disastrous Iowa State fairgrounds thing that he did on Thursday. And he's like, I thought it was going to rain. I thought it was going to rain at my parade, and it didn't rain. So, there's no global warming. I was watching the troops go down Fifth Avenue. It was in D.C. It wasn't in New York. Play the clip.
And then on the day we woke up, rain is projected all night long, heavy. Oh, I'm saying I'll get my hair soaking wet. My hair's going to be soaking wet. I'll be crazy. I'll say, this is terrible. It's going to rain 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The thing was at 8 in the evening, 1 o'clock. Rain is forecast at levels you haven't seen before. I said, oh, this is, and so the generals called me, sir, we could change it, but this is the Army. We're sort of used to bad weather. I said, no, don't change it. I'll wear a raincoat and I'll wear a big fat hat so I don't get totally drenched. I'll be okay. I'm such a tough cookie. And then what happens? We get there and there's no rain. And we go 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of watching these great guys marching down Fifth Avenue. It never rained. And then I thought to myself, global warming, they're telling us what's going to happen in 250 years to our planet, but they can't tell us it's going to rain.
And then Donald Trump says, I very strongly told Iran, you can attack our military base in Qatar. You absolutely go and attack our base. I told them, you go take your shots. Here, play this clip.
They called me to tell me they have to take a shot at us. This was Iran, very respectful. That means they respect us. Because we dropped 14 bombs. They said, we'd like to take 14 shots at you. I said, go ahead. I understand. They said, where they'd do it. I said, good. We emptied out the fort. It was a beautiful military base in Qatar who treated us really fantastically well. And they said, sir, 1 o'clock, okay. I said, it was fine. We could make it later. And we had nobody but 4 gunners. We had 4, they call them gunners, and they shoot the Patriots. They shoot the missiles up. It's hard to believe.
Could you imagine if that happened the other way? If Biden said, I told Iran, go hit our military base, go attack our troops. What the hell are we talking about? But I think it's important that we expose it. We'll always do that here on the MeidasTouch Network. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.